Hey folks, Dustin DePirac here, columnist Ryan Carchi. We brought Zach back, the ginger, 24/7 Sports.
We'll let you
inside
decide if
Indiana.
that was a good decision by the
Yeah,
end.
So excited.
it's really up to you guys. I don't know. I mean, he was begging, he was pleading. That's what usually happens. I'm kidding. Anyway, I am. Shut up. Anyway, Indiana wins 71-66. Beats Northwestern to get win number 20, which is kind of a big deal for IU considering they lost more than 20 games each of the past 3 seasons leading up to this one, and for all the things that they'd achieved coming up to this one. Tom Crean and IU kind of pretty much stated beforehand that this one made a big difference to them. It was pretty ugly, but that's kind of what you expect out of Northwestern. They played, with the Princeton offense in the 1-3-1 zone. It was really kind of a problem for IU tonight. It's a different matchup. It was something that Indiana said repeatedly that they felt like they needed the bye week before to get ready for. Still had some shortcomings there, but still managed to pull out what I think is a pretty big victory.
Mm-hmm.
I think for these guys.
Definitely. I mean, 20 wins. I mean, like you said, they may have been in before, but now I think we can all pretty confidently say Indiana is an NCAA tournament team, and they have 8 wins in conference.
Yeah, this is the
season.
most they've had, more than they've had the previous 3 years combined. As many as they have the previous 3 years.
And that more than anything signals that this is a team that going forward will be competitive in the Big Ten, in the coming years. Not even just this season. I mean, I think they're only 3 games out of the top of the Big Ten right now.
Yeah.
So, but I think this, especially in the second half. I mean, we saw John Cherna just go on an absolute tear, scoring wise. He finished with 29 points, and his ugly release was falling all night. So ugly.
So ugly.
So hideous.
And Indiana had no response to the 1-3-1 zone at first. I mean, Jordan Hulls looked terrible. I mean, he was. I didn't
think he looked as bad as some other people did, but he didn't look good.
He looked
looked
pretty
very
bad.
He looked very uncomfortable.
He did look uncomfortable in the zone.
Handler,
He was trying.
Once
As a ball
took
handler.
the ball out of his hands, he was fine.
Yeah, he was trying not to
just
dribble
kept
it that
picking up
much.
his dribble way
Yeah.
too soon.
He also ended up with
Against
0
the way they
points.
extended
Yeah.
the zone.
First time
he's
since the
not
pick game.
scored since the pick game his freshman year.
In 2009, yeah. But yeah, I mean, and this is the sort of game. I mean, we say this all the time, and it comes out all the time. But that this is the sort of game that this team doesn't win before. But what I mean by that in this case, it showed a sort of maturity. I think that it was a different type of matchup. It was, even though Michigan plays some similar things to Northwestern. Northwestern is a true pure Princeton offense team. They run that 1-3-1 better and more kind of exclusively or more heavily than anybody else really does. And it gave Indiana the sort of problems. But they didn't act like. What are you laughing about?
I'm just trying to make faces at you to break your concentration.
Let's just stop. Anyway, they were just able to just hold up against that without getting too worried or too flummoxed or whatever it was by the 1-3-1. They just kind of stuck with it and kept finding ways to score. It caused turnovers. Northwestern does not turn the ball over. I think they were 3rd in the league in fewest turnovers, averaging 10.1.
Turnover 13.
Indiana got them to give it away 13 times, scored 17 points off of those. What's up? Yeah. Yeah, game ended on a turnover. Vic Oladipo had a huge steal with 14 seconds to go to put it away. But that's another one of those things you don't see. It's another kind of sign of maturity that I guess we keep seeing in different games. But showed a lot, I thought, for this team to be able to win that kind of game.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say a couple of thoughts. First of all, just randomly, but I think that I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's Northwestern." I think it's Northwestern team not that bad. I don't think
bad
it's
at all.
an
I think it's a good
tournament
team.
But this is not. This is not the same. This is not Northwestern of 5 years ago. This is a team with good players, with talented players, with some surprisingly athletic players.
Drew Crawford for one.
Drew Crawford, Jershawn Cobb. This is. I don't think there's a lot wrong realistically with a 15 to 25 top 25 team winning in single digits at home to Northwestern.
Not at all. As far as I'm concerned, not at all.
This is the 3rd game in a row where Indiana has maybe not been as crisp and excellent on offense as they were in some of their wins earlier this year, where they were making a lot of threes.
2 of 13 tonight.
Yeah,
2 for 13.
Where they were finding, where they were really in a rhythm. I mean, the rhythm was really disrupted all night between the foul calls. They went both ways, but there were just a lot of them, so it kind of broke up that rhythm that Indiana kind of looks for. And then also the 1-3-1 zone really threw them offensively. But this is the 3rd game in a row they've won where they've shot more free throws. where they have turned the ball over less than their opponent, and where they have won the rebounding battle. And it's not always pronounced in every category, but I mean those are like the three little things that I don't think this team was ever capable of doing consistently
against in the Big Ten at least.
In the Big Ten, or against Big Ten type competition.
Right.
And this is the third game in a row that they've kind of won because they did all those little things. I mean, again, it bears repeating that the game ended on a steal. It didn't end on a shot, but Northwestern's last real chance, sort of the moment where it lost the game for good, was when Drew Crawford knifed into the lane. And I don't remember who got a hand on it first.
But it ends up in victory. It might have been Verdell.
Either that or he might have just popped it off of his hip. But I mean, Verdell was right there on him. It comes loose. Victor Oladipo comes up with it. It's an Indiana team winning games, not just by making jumpers and making three-pointers. And I think that was something that people thought early in the season was Indiana's only really a good team if their offense is clicking. But the last three games we've seen them. We've seen that not quite be the case, and they've still won all three of them.
Very true. Defense has come a long way in the last couple of games, and their ability to maintain a game plan, especially tonight. I mean, I think Northwestern was able to get some buckets. John Scherna hits some shots that don't make any sense.
It's so ugly.
It's hideous.
Just so ugly.
Oh, it's hideous. The only person I've ever seen shoot worse is a point guard from William & Mary named Dave Schneider. He actually used to just sort of jackknife
everything goes back to the CAA.
It does. It does. I miss the
All the way
CAA.
back to the Colonial.
I missed the CAA. Anyway, but we talked about this. We tried to film this before, and it didn't go so well. But we really got to have sort of the Verdell Jones talk after this one. Verdell sort of, for the first time, really kind of not called out, I don't know if that's the word, but really responded to the fact that he gets, hate. Yeah, anyway.
Machine gun of hate.
Yeah. So anyway, but and Verdell probably, 7 points in this or 6 points in this game, 4 assists, but was just clutch in the final 5 minutes of this game. Hit 2 huge shots, including what was effectively the clincher. That was kind of a step inside the 3-point line in the left corner with 31 seconds, just
He's
inside.
So good at just having 1 foot on the 3-point
True.
line.
But defensively, he was great. Basically made some key steals, got going in transition when they really needed something else to happen. When they were getting really stalled by that 1-3-1, Verdell made a couple big plays to get them going in transition. Knife to the lane for a bucket, for one, was probably getting better dribble penetration. That probably got as good a dribble penetration on that play as they had in several minutes before they went to the zone. But then just pretty much called out and said, I'm fueled by some of the things, by the booing, by some of the things I read in the newspaper. This fuels me, and this makes me better. It was really saw a lot from him tonight.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything in those 10 minutes that he played in the second half, I thought they were his best all-around 10 minutes of the entire season. I mean, he scored 6 points. He had 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. I mean, he had 8 deflections, and that's what Tom Crean really harped on afterwards. That was his most effective contribution to that entire time. But more than anything, like you said, he showed that ability to be clutch, and we've seen that at times. We saw that against Michigan. He hit the shot, which he actually hit a very similar shot in this game.
Yeah, he did.
On the baseline that really at the end of the game is exactly what they needed. Against Kentucky, I mean, he brought it up the entire court. He made the pass. He really made the play. I mean, if you think about it like that, and for 2 games, kind of IU fans had a little while to wonder, are we better off without Verdell Jones? And I think he answered tonight, no,
Yeah.
they're not better off without him. I mean, you're going to get inconsistencies with Verdell. He's going to turn the ball over at times, and he's going to make bad passes at times. He's going to dribble with his head down at times, but he's also going to hit clutch shots. And I think, I don't know whether he deserves a spot in the starting lineup. I don't know how much playing time he deserves, but he deserves some playing time, and he showed at least that tonight.
Yeah, and he did it. Remember, I mean, obviously missed the last couple games with a shoulder injury. Looked very tentative early. Just didn't seem like, just looked like a guy who had been hurt, who wasn't sure exactly how his shoulder was going to work, if he was going to be able to hit shots, what he was going to have to do to hit shots, and how much he could really attack off the dribble either. But, I mean, he just gained, you just saw just different level of confidence from him in the second half, and you just saw this degree of leadership. I mean, for all you can look at so many numbers. I mean, if you look at KenPom.com, you'll find about 1,000 sort of indicting numbers, I guess, on Verdell's performance. But he's still a senior. He's still a captain, and he can still sort of see his situation, see opportunities to kind of take over, even if it's for a few minute stretches. And that I think is what. That happened against Michigan. That had been happening in the last couple games. I mean, he had a couple pretty good performances. Had a good performance against Purdue, and did it again tonight. I thought. I mean, that was just shows you he still does serve a purpose. That wasn't Purdue, not Purdue. Who was the one before that? Michigan wasn't bad. Who was before Michigan? Shoot.
Anyway, the
Penn
two
State.
games before.
Yeah, that was a big one. Or was it? No, it wasn't.
It was Iowa. Excuse me.
Iowa. Yeah, he was good against Iowa. Anyway, I'm batting 1,000 on that one. So, but anyway. Anybody else got anything to add? Because we're like 11 minutes.
That's about it.
All right.
Thanks for that.
So glad we brought him back.
Yep, me too.